And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Flux Motorsport TV, where you join myself, the console, and Toasty for round 3 of the GT3 Championship. Good evening, Toasty. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to another exciting GT3 race. Hopefully it's just as eventful as last week was.
Here's the hoping. A great race out last week round at Zhuhai. So, initial thoughts for this track then. You raced around here yesterday, the LMP2s. It's a bit of a tricky one, a little bit of everything here, not really favouring one particular car, I don't think, although I'm sure one of these guys will try and prove me wrong. But what was it like out there to drive yesterday?
And LMP2s, very different cars from these, a lot more downforce. Yeah, yesterday we were racing flat out through many of these corners. I'd be surprised to see a GT3 car not at least lift through 130R, but maybe it's possible on a qualifying setup. We'll see.
I think it's all going to come down to how brave they are feeling. So, currently 18 minutes left in the qualifying session. No one set a lap just yet. Everyone's still getting everything warmed up, tinkering, refueling, thinking out these last little niggles they're going to have in their strategy. So whilst we're going around, let's just run you through the current standings and bring you up to speed with where the drivers currently are. So on pole currently, top of the grid, we have Bruce Law on 74 points after taking 2 wins this season back to back in that Ginetta. Absolute great start to finally getting his hands on the GT3 crown that's escaped him 2 seasons already. So he's off to a great start, and he'll be looking to carry that on this race as well. In second, we have this man here, Waj, also known as Josh. He's had a great start as well. I believe this is his first season with us. Last year, I think he maybe made a couple of appearances as a reserve, this time getting the full-time seat, and he is putting it to full use. Currently sitting in second in 60 points, only 14 behind Bruce. Behind him, we have Blank File, who's down the grid here in that big yellow and black Bentley. Not quite the season he was hoping for. Last season, he took the top spot in the Z4. By this stage, and last season, he had already won 2 of the 3 races, only taking a loss at Daytona in round 1. So he's got a little bit of work to do to get his name back on top, but currently sitting on 44 points, only 30 points behind Bruce, so still not out the running just yet. It can still be recovered for him. In 4th place, we have this man here, Tibby, who's been doing a stellar job, really, getting consistent result week in, week out in the last 3 weeks, being able to get himself up to 4th place with 43 points, only 31 behind Bruce, and only 1 point off of 3rd. So he's having a brilliant go at it this season. It'll be interesting to see how long he can hang that on for. Hopefully that sort of result can see him place very well by the end of the season, as we saw Dr. Potford do at the end of last year. Behind him in 5th, we have Snarling Bongo, who has just moved. Where has he gone? To the pole position, currently in that silver McLaren. Not had the best of races. Definitely didn't have an ideal race last week in Zhuhai. You see him getting a little bit squirrely there into the wall. Sort of being played with during the race incidents, not really able, not with the racing luck on his side, but he's in 5th place, 38 points, 36 behind Bruce. Below him, we have this man here, Jack, in that Ferrari there, tearing around. Again, another one who's not been too lucky with race results this season so far, but has shown good pace and able to get up there and challenge the front when he's been allowed to. He currently sits in 6th place on 34 points, 40 behind Bruce. So again, he's still not at the running just yet. He can still probably bag himself a top 3 place if he gets it all sorted and back in line this week. In 7th, we have Chris in that white and pink Lamborghini with the yellow tipped wings. Important, remember that. We will need that later. Good showing from him. We saw he had good pace last week at Zhuhai. I believe he was the driver you were backing for that race. Was that right, Toast?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do this week at Sakitto. He has a very quick car, but during the race he just had a couple of incidents in the past 2 weeks. So we'll see if he can keep it together to the first couple laps and really get into a rhythm and finish the 45 minutes without any incident.
Absolutely, and he's sitting in 7th place on 32 points, so only 6 separates him from 5th place, so he can still turn this around as well. He's not out of the running just yet. Below him in 8th place we have CDN, also opting for the Lamborghini, that red and black livery. We saw him last week also getting a few scrapes and bumps. He had a great battle, I believe it was with Flush all the way to the end, so good racing from him. And I think we still see the best out of him yet. In 9th place on 28 points we have Dr. Potford, the man who took 3rd last season. Opted to switch cars. He was in a yellow Ferrari last season. This season opting for that red and black Acura NSX. I think this is almost a home race for him, so that NSX should be flying. I hope a good result for him this week. In 10th place, we have eMotorsports in another Ferrari as the cameraman takes a bit of a day off. Hopefully it'll catch up. There he is, coming into Degda 2 now. eMotorsports missed last week, had a reserve jump in for him, but again, he had a difficult start to the season, not really getting the result he wanted in Dubai, and he's paying the price for it, sitting down in 10th. But on 20 points, still recoverable, not quite out the running either. You can't count any of these guys out, really. It's still only week 3. Down in 11th on 19 points we have Flush in that green and black Audi R8. We saw him start to get it together last week. Had a bit of a rough time in Dubai, and then Zhuhai showed much better pace and sort of race strategy. So hopefully that momentum has carried on into this week and he can get himself a good result as well. Below him in 12th place on 15 points we have TGS, currently sitting in the pits, so we will come back to him in a little bit. But again, we saw him get involved in some not making the best decisions last week, making a few questionable overtakes and paying the price for it ultimately. So he'll be looking to settle the nerves and get back into the swing of it this week as well. Behind him in 13th place we have the best gamer or survivor on 15 points as well in that chrome Z4, and his teammate Green Gaming I think is lurking around here somewhere. The pair of them struggled to get the Z4 going, really. Pair of them are working on setups, trying to get the most out of it, but we're yet to see that Z4 really stretch its legs, so maybe this is the week that they have got it sussed. In 14th place we have Maze Gamer, who unfortunately can't be here tonight, so we've got a reserve standing in for him. And Green Gaming is in 15th place, also in the Chrome Z4. And again, not too much to really report on these guys just yet. I know they've been spending a lot of time together sort of tuning, trying to get the maximum performance out of the Z4, but we're just yet to see it all come together for them. So we sit and wait. And in 16th place is Lingam Zinga on 4 points. Again, he couldn't make it tonight either, but he has had a torrid season, really been plagued by poor luck and in every race, and unable to get the results that he needs, that we normally expect from him. I believe he's currently taken 2 wins and a 2nd place in GT1, so we know that he's got the capability, he's just unable to get it all together on the Sunday nights. So, 10 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. We are halfway done as these guys are starting to ramp up the pace now. Blankfile currently sitting on pole position with a 1:41.8, and that is a blinding lap. The quickest in practice was a 1:42.7, so those times are dropping away very quickly. In 2nd place, Snarling, only 1/10 back. Great to see his name getting back up the sharp end. We saw him able to get, I believe he qualified in 4th last week, so plenty of pace in that McLaren. It's just where we can keep it all together for the race. Bruce currently sitting 4 tenths back in 3rd place, so he's still got a little bit of work to do. as we see Blankfile dive into the pits there, probably for another refueling. Maybe a little final bits of tweaking. Bruce just coming around the final corner here, last curve. Across the line, is this a hot lap? Is he going to be able to do anything himself up there? No, he's not. Looks like he's just coming onto the hot lap there, his headlights coming on. So super brave into the first corner on the braking. That Ginetta looks absolutely planted. I've said it before and I'll say it each week. I am impressed every time I see that Ginetta do well. It's such a it's a car that you rarely see picked in public lobbies. It's normally played with AMGs and Lamborghinis and Ferraris, so always nice to see something a little different up the front, giving us something a little different to look at.
Yeah, I've been impressed with how the car has been performing beginning of this season. I think it's gonna struggle only slightly here at Sakitto, just because on this version of the track, based off of Suzuka, the two tight sections have been taken out, so it's a bit of some long straights here and there, and I think it's going to struggle a little bit through Sector 3.
Yeah, I think you are right. So, rightly said, this track is based off of Suzuka. So coming out of Degner 2, normally you would go straight on up into the hairpin and round it to 200R. This out of Degner 2 just bears left and goes straight off towards the spoon curve. And coming out of 130R into the final corner, as we've got here, last curve, as Bruce coming up to now, normally there is the Casio triangle there, but that's not there either. So this is where the Ginetta is probably going to struggle. Although in Zhuhai, a lot of long straights there, and we saw him take the win quite comfortably. So Bruce is able to get that Ginetta to go. It's just whether he can get the balance right, I guess, between straight line speed and having that downforce needed for this tight, twisty stuff where it should do really well. On the flip side of the coin, Blankfile in that big heavy Bentley is absolutely flying still. No one able to improve their times on him just yet, so he's still sitting pretty for now. 7 minutes in the session left, so plenty of time for that for him to be knocked off the top there, although he will be definitely have something to say about it. Snarl is still sitting in second, Bruce in third. Giona is one of our reserve drivers for tonight, currently sitting in fourth, and he is in the white and pink Lambo with the pink tip wings. When I said we would need that later on, this is why. And he's been racing in our reserve race, and apparently he showed excellent pace. I've not had a chance to see him go yet, so this is his prime time debut, as it were, and we are proud to have him with us as well. Joining him from the reserve list is Toten, who has picked the AMG. I believe it's the only AMG on the grid, with Mays not being here. So he's also showed excellent pace in the reserve race, the pair of them swapping first and second places. So they'll definitely be one to watch, hoping to mix it up a little bit. And as you can see, Toten only sitting about a second off the pace at the minute, which is sounds like a lot, but when you consider he's only got the call up to here maybe 10 minutes before the race opened, really jumping in at the final call. So great effort from him, and he's got the lights on, so this is going to be a fast lap. We'll stick with him and see if he can do anything, improve on his 6th place for the minute. Behind him is Flux Motorsport, only 2 tenths off in 7th. Immortalis currently in the pits, 1.5 off the pace, and Jack in 9th, 2 seconds off the pace, and Tibby rounding out the top 10 with 2.3 seconds. As we can see, look to be Giona or Chris just off at 130R there, letting Toten through. This is going to be it, unleashing all them AMG horses. Is it enough to improve on 6th? It is not, so he stays put for the time being. So let's just jump on board with this man for the minute. It looks like he's probably on an outlap, so we'll come back to him shortly. But Wadge took home 2nd place, I believe, last race out. Let me just double check that. He did. So 2nd in Zhuhai for this man. Blankfile taking home 3rd. Bruce took the win. He's currently sitting in 5th, about 9 tenths off the pace, so he's got a little bit of work to do, sitting a little bit further back than what he'd probably like, but has been able to get that BMW moving under race conditions. Definitely better make his way through the pack, especially to the recovery drive we saw from him on Tuesdays in the touring cars. Suffering a first lap spin and being able to work his way all the way back to, I believe he finished in 4th place, so a good run from him. We'll keep an eye on him and see if his time improves. I believe this is going to be an outlap, so maybe nothing jumping him up the table just yet. Flat Pack joining us on the stream. Looking forward to this. Going to be a great top 10 battle. I think you are absolutely right, mate. Very talented grid, very quick, very close, very competitive, and Sakitto hopefully should lend itself to some nice tight close racing. Plenty of corners to make some moves, plenty of straights to get some drafting done. There's as I said earlier, a little bit of everything, something for everyone. So we see from Wadge there no improvement, so he's still probably going to have another crack at it. 3 minutes 40 seconds left to go, still time to do it. Blank File is back into the pits. Look like he's just coming out for another run, so he's probably going to get 1, maybe 2, depending on the mood the timer is in. Snarling coming through 130R there. He's got the lights on, so we'll stay with him for a second, see if he can improve. 1/10 to find to take Blank File off that top spot. Has that McLaren got it? Not this lap it doesn't, so he's going to have to go around it again. Looks like there's a little bit of traffic up in front of him as well, so well to get out of the way there. Looks like that was Flush. It looks like that was Jack as well, also getting out of the way, so them boys doing a good job of not trying to hold him up too long. Bruce also looks like he's on an outlap as well, 4 tenths off the pace, so he's got a bit of work to do. Trying to get some heat in those tyres. He comes through 130R as well. Bad time to join Wadge there, but that'll look good, so he'll get some star points for that. Sideways into the spoon, not the quickest way, but definitely looks good. Maybe his mum's up in the stands. His tyres have had enough of that one. Let's just cycle back through the grid here a little bit, see if we can see anyone looking to make some moves. Immortalis about to come across the line. I think this is going to be an outlap as well. It is, so he is staying put. Jack, we saw him on the outlap. Looks like Chris could be on a quick one here. That Lambo looks planted through 130R. I think they are doing just a little confidence lift, although I think these cars will probably make it through flat if you have the setup just right. Although you could probably give us a bit more insight on it, Toasty. How brave have you got to be to get through 130R flat in these?
In these cars, well, in any car you got to be brave, but in these even more so. But I don't think I heard a lift from Bruce going through 130R in his Janetta. I think he went through there flat, but a lot of the rest of these cars, without any more downforce that the Janetta has, and entering the 130R a little bit quicker with a little bit more power, I think they're going to struggle to accomplish that feat.
I think you are right, and it's an odd corner as well. If you get it wrong on the exit, the curb there, if you sort of straddle it, you're fine. If you don't hit it, you're fine. If you hit it and not really sort of commit to it, it doesn't like it, and it rips the rear of the car away. And when you're flat out, that is not what you want to be happening. You see Chris just getting on the rear of the car on the dirt there. He's going to pay the price for that. I don't think he's going to get another lap. No, he's not. So that's him done. So put in 7th place for the time being. Toten still hasn't able to get anywhere further than 6G. Owner into the pits in 4th as well, so that's going to be him done. Immortalis into the pits on 8th, so he's got it all to lose. Tibby also back at 11th into the pits. 2 TGS getting a little squirrely coming up to, that looks like Dunlop.
TGS.
It's a very mess. Yeah, that's unfortunate early in the lap. That's going to sort of ruin that one, really. It's unlikely he's going to be able to make anything on Jack there, so he could probably, as you see him go completely round, that's definitely not going to help his chances. So he's going to be sitting in 10th with CDN, Dr. Potford, Green Gaming and Survivor all behind him, maybe sniffing to take it off him. Flush also into the pits. Nothing changing with the top three just yet, although they are all out on track. We wait and see if some of them are on fast laps, depending on where they were on the timing boards. Jack now coming around the last corner, currently in 9th, looking to take 8th off of eMotorsports, maybe higher if he can. That Ferrari has had a little knock on the front there. I don't think that will help, and he stays put, so no improvement from him just yet. See if anyone else is about to come around the final corner. Here we go, Toten coming into the last curve as well. That AMG full till, a little lift it sounded like on the entry there. Could probably saved a bit of time. Blank file into the pit, so he's done enough. So Snarling and Bruce and Wadge are on route to take it off him. Toten can't improve, so he stays put. Bruce goes across the line, he can't do anything either, so he's going to stay in 3rd unless Wadge can do anything either. He's going to come into the last corner as well. Wadge and Snarling really the only 2 people left out on track who can probably take Blank File's top spot away from him. Green Gaming and Survivor seem to be having their own little battle down at the back there. Has Wadge got anything in it? He has, but it's not enough, so he stays in 5th, and Snarling is into the pits as well. So, as we just wait for the timing board to pop up, Blank File in 1st place. He's going to get a little bonus point for his efforts in qualifying there. Snarling Bongo takes home 2nd. Takes home 2nd. He's going to be starting on the opposite side of the grid alongside Blank File. He'll be looking to get that move done nice and early, I think. I expect a very aggressive move into turn 1, try to take that inside line away from Blank. Bruce is going to line up in 3rd place. Giona in 4th. Great viewing from him, coming up from the reserves and immediately making his stamp and his mark known. Good driving from him so far. Wadge in 5th place, but again, still one to watch. Toten and the other reserve coming home in 6th, so both of them in the top 10. Great effort from both of them. Chris Motorsport in that pink and white Lamborghini, he's currently in 7th. Immortalis is going to line up in 8th. Jack in 9th. TGS in 10th. Tippy is going to be in 11th. CDN in 12th. 13th is going to see Flush. 14th, Dr. Potford. 15th, Green Gaming. And Survivor in 16th. So, 2 minutes of Tinker time. They're going to get a little time here just to make the final adjustments, fill the cars up, maybe make a decision on tyres. We expect that they're probably going to be able to go to the end. Although tyre wear might be a bit of an issue, so we will have to wait and see. I reckon towards the end of the race we might see some time start to drop off and the racing start to close back up again. Here's to hoping. So you've seen qualifying, Toast. Who's the horse you're backing for tonight?
I'm thinking Blank File might have this. The Bentley, certainly a better track for the Bentley than the last 2 venues have been, and yeah, not many tight, twisty sections that it would be struggling around. It's more of a track of long, sweeping corners and straights, and it's very quick in the straight line.
Absolutely. I was talking to Blank File earlier, just before the race started, and he was saying he thought this track was a little higher than what it is in terms of altitude. That Bentley with a whopping great big turbo on it, so he'll be looking to capitalise on the high altitude track, so he's probably waiting for Bathurst to come round. I think I'm going to go for Snarling this week. As I said previous, we saw him have some awful luck in the previous races, but always shown great pace in qualifying. So the capability is there, just needs to string it together for the full 45 minutes. So I think tonight is going to be his night, a podium at the very least, if not the win. People not to rule out though, we've got Immortalis and Jack in 8th and 9th. I expect them to start coming through the grid with some sort of urgency, as well as CDM. We saw him have a good run last week, so all to play for. As we are about to go green light, which I'm on board with Black File here. And the green lights are out. Snarling, it's a brilliant start onto Blank File into turn 1. As I said, he's going to make a super aggressive move. It looks like Gianni's getting on the inside of that Lamborghini, thinks better of it, getting on the inside of Bruce Law, hangs on to 3rd. Snarling pushing Blankfile to the outside. They're still side by side. Blankfile just got the edge for the minute. They're going to be coming into this snaky section here. Looks like everyone else got through clean. No pushing and shoving just yet. I want to go back through the grid, but this action is super tight for the minute. Snarling, we see someone getting sideways there. That looked like it was Immortalis catching Toten, I believe. He's going to have to wait for that to clear up. CDN picking up some spaces there as well. Waj still coming, sitting in 5th, just on the back of the top 5 here, coming into the Degners. Chris a little further back, leading at 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th by the looks of it. Flush just on the back of that lot, so that's going to go right back to Survivor, who is in 12th. So those 6 cars are all running in a chain. Dr. Potford looks like he's got a bit of a wonky bumper, so he's maybe collected in something. Green Gaming and Toten and Immortalis, we saw have the contact coming into that snake section there. Blankfile pulling out a bit of a gap onto Snarling already, nearly a second as they come up to 130. Bruce unable to really capitalise on the pace of that McLaren just yet. Sector 3, as Tosi said earlier, is going to be its weakest section, so he's going to be sitting tight, waiting for that move into turn 1, if any. Giono is still running well into 4th, and is that Snarling gone round at 130? Looks like he's clipped that curb. Commentator's curse, I shouldn't have backed him. I am sorry, mate, if you are watching this back. So that means Giona into 3rd place, Bruce into 2nd, Blankfile 3rd, Waj is up into 4th, just off the back of Giona. He'll be getting the draft for that. Jack has managed to keep his nose clean. He's up into 5th. Flush looks like he's coming under pressure from Chris into turn 1. Last of the late breakers, very brave onto the brakes from Chris there. Great move, well done from both drivers to keep it clean. As looks like he runs a little wide on the exit, but that Lamborghini should be able to power out of there over the R8. And CDN looks like he's either coming under pressure or has just got the move done on Tibby. Couldn't quite see it because of the camera angle there. So this group of 4 are going to be going back and forth. The 2 Audi R8 teammates of Tibby and Flush having some early work on their hands to deal with. Just jumping up the grid a little bit here. Looks like Giona was looking to make a move, but they're further back than the Timans believe. Looks like this is the racing. So Green Gaming, Toten and Snarling are all into the pits. Did Immortalis pit as well? He hasn't. He has stayed out, so he's obviously happy with the damage for the car. If it's got any, he's closing down Dr. Potford, who, as I said, looks like he's got a bit of a wobbly bumper, so he's probably suffered a little front end damage there, and that will be affecting that NSX's handling quite severely. This is where the action currently is. 7th and 8th, pushing wide into the spoon. You need to be a little bit careful on that curve there. You almost want to sort of drift into the middle a little bit to get the best run up to 130. As you can see there, that Lamborghini pulling away from Flush's Audi R8, and just behind him, the Lamborghini of CDN pulling away from Tibby's R8. I'm sort of getting to see 2 versions of the same thing here happening as they come into 130. CDN getting extremely wide. He's going to have to be careful he doesn't get a slowdown or have an incident like we saw Snarling have. Catastrophic start to his race. But let's just follow these guys into... Sorry, mate, what were you going to say?
Through that turn 1, not turn 1, lap 1 incident through the sector 1, the S section, looked like Totenkoff's car was completely flipped over, but it landed back on his wheels, luckily, so he was able to continue on. He just pitted for his suspension damage at least, and then Snarling Bongo's slide around the last corner. Waj very nearly hit him, but it was good to evade that sideways McLaren in front of him.
Yeah, he did very well. Even Snarling sort of threading the needle going backwards, really. I'm sure he was on the brakes, but not a lot you can do when you're carrying that much pace. The car is going to go where it wants to go, unfortunately. So these guys here look like they're settling into line a little bit. Only Tibby and CDN sort of staying within touching distance for now, although coming into this fast section, I suspect CDN's going to pull a bit of a gap again. Let's just jump back a little bit further here. Survivor looked like he was closing on the back of Dr. Potford, but that's not come to anything either. Immortalis has got round the good doctor, so he's up into 11th place, looking to get his race back on track. He was sort of qualified just inside the top 10, so he's got dropped a few places, got a little bit of work to do to get back to where he was. Green Gaming is still in the pits, or has gone back in the pits. I don't think I've seen him leave just yet. Flush looks like he's falling away from Chris. So that's going to be sort of winding down for the minute. Chris and Giona separated by about 2 to 3 seconds, depending on where they are on track. Both in the white and pink Lamborghini, so them teammates maybe going to be working together, although Giona is absolutely flying. As I said, coming out of the reserves for this race, he showed excellent pace down racing with them, so it's obviously transferred well for him. Great to see him running so well. He's got Jack in his sights in 4th, only 2 seconds up the road. That red and blue Ferrari is starting to become bigger and bigger. Jack will be probably hanging on for that one. I don't think he's going to have the pace to catch up with Wadge, although I think he will be definitely making it difficult for Giona to overtake. So we'll keep an eye on that one and keep an eye on the timing board as that starts to heat up. Just jumping back a little bit here. It looks like Flush is gaining on Chris into this section here, coming out of Degner 2. Now they're going to turn left into what would be 200R. You can see as soon as they get into this back straight, that Lamborghini just starts to pull that gap away. It looks like if Flush wants to get it done, he's going to have to get it done into Sector 1. Which is easier said than done, really.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit difficult to follow a car through high downforce, high-speed corners. Not as much as the LMP2s yesterday, but we have Giona off the track.
Giona's just dipped into the dirt there, so he's going to be falling backwards. Commentator's curse. Looks like he's going to lose out to Tibby as well. Does well to pull out of that one. You don't want to be going too wide through 130R. Not this early in the race anyway, so keep an eye on those three. TGS is starting to pile on the pressure onto eMotorsports. So eMotorsports has actually got up into 10th place, so this is the other way around. This is the aftermath of eMotorsports' recovery drive. Really, is TGS going to make anything down into turn 1? It looks like it's a similar story. These R8s just not having the straight line grunt that they need to keep up with some of the Ferraris or the Lamborghinis. Should see him close up a little bit now on the exit here if he's sort of got the downforce of the drive. Hasn't, so that's probably going to stay as it is for the time being. Just jumping with these 3 dance partners. So CDN leads them in the black and red Lamborghini. That's a bad move from Tibby there. I believe it was Tibby, it was, and that Audi R8 just clips the rear of them as they come through this snake section here. Stewards are probably going to want to have a little look at that one. That's a shame. That was starting to heat up into something pretty decent there. CDN, I think, is going to be paying the biggest price for that one, dropping back to 11th. And this is similar to what we saw from CDN last week. Able to race good, just not having the luck with racing incidents, unfortunately. This does, however, bump eMotorsports up into 8th, as it sounds like TGS has dropped it back there. He has. eMotorsports starting to close on the back of Giona now in 7th. So eMotorsports moving through these markers pretty quickly. 23 seconds off the front, so he's got a long way to go. I don't think he'll be challenging for a top 3, but you could definitely be looking at 5th with Chris, maybe Jack, depending on how the rest of the race plays out. Still 36 minutes left to go, so time to get it done if he's got the pace and is fancying it. As you see that gap to that Lamborghini closing down quite rapidly. That Ferrari's obviously got the legs, much more than we've seen from the R8s. I think he's going to be a little bit too far back to get anything done into turn 1, but we'll wait and see. Maybe he'll shock us and Giona with a surprise move.
Giona raced in the LMP2 race yesterday as a reserve. He showed a lot of pace. Unfortunately, it might just be that he hasn't had enough time in the GT3 car. Coming up to this one, a very different car, and it's a very different racing line. Not having to lift through many of these corners that you'd be flat out through, and just getting the call from reserve to come in, he might be struggling just a little bit, and just trying as hard as he can to keep eMotorsports behind him at this point.
A 7th place in this grid is nothing to be sniffed at either. So it's still a great effort for him. And I think you're absolutely right. I think he's going to be one of these drivers who's quick in just about everything that's got wheels, really.
Yeah.
Definitely one to watch if his name starts to crop up in other places. I'm hoping he doesn't get in a touring car. So he has got eMotorsports accompanying at the minute, who's also no slouch. Pair of them coming up to 130 are still a little bit too far back. This is the closest battle we have on track at the minute, as it looks like Dr. Potford has dived into the pits getting that front bumper repaired. So he's going to pay the price for that. A long way off the leaders now. Just keeping an eye on the timing board for the minute. It looks like CDN has gone round at the 130R there. That is not going to do him any favours. So this still does remain the closest pair for the minute. Everyone else still sitting about, in some cases, 2 to 3 seconds apart. I think what's happening is that the dirty air from these cars coming through this first section is sort of giving the buffer, and then it's all closing up into sector 3 or pulling away, depending on what combination of cars are racing, and this is sort of giving us a bit of a rubber band effect.
Right, exactly what was happening yesterday in the LMP2's. Less extreme of a rubber band effect, as you say, but it's still present. Giona, he was trying a no stop yesterday in the LMP2 along with Immortalis. Immortalis made it work and won that race. Will be interesting to see what these two do with their strategy calls. They're towards the middle of the pack right now, and they might be just running together through the entire race if they end up with the same strategy.
If they race this close to the end, then I'll be very happy. 32 minutes left to go, so still a long way to go, really, in terms of race distance. I'm not surprised a lot of these guys have settled in and now just finding a groove, logging laps for the time being. As I say, week in, week out, it only matters who's in first at the end. Just having a little flick through our timing board here. If anything else is starting to develop, it looks like Christen has been unable to close up on Jack in fourth. The gap's laying there about 3-4 seconds. Behind him, Flush is hanging, is sort of just in front of these guys here, as you can see. Although, did he just drop it on the exit of turn 1? It looks like he did. So, commentator's curse strikes again. It's in full force tonight, I'm afraid. Well, that's gifted Giona and Immortalis a position. They won't be sniffing at that. So Giona up to 6th, Immortalis into 7th. Survivor, actually, slipped through the radar a little bit. He's doing a blinding job in 8th. He's coming from, I believe he qualified in 15th place. So he's made up loads of ground. And TGS is about 2 seconds back, but we did see TGS have a bit of a spin and having a few issues. I believe he's coming into 200R just around here. So Survivor could potentially hang on to that place. That would be a great finish for him. As I said, maybe starting to get the feel for that Z4, starting to get it working for him. We will keep an eye on him and see how he finishes. Jumping back on with Immortalis and Giona, CDN is into the pit, so he's obviously having his damage repaired. That gives Dr. Potford a chance to get up into 13th. Toten's still sitting back in 12th, Tibby in 11th, so nothing really developing down there just yet. Green Gaming still miles off the pace. I think he took some big damage early on and lost a lot of time getting that repaired.
We saw last lap Immortalis get a little wobble through turn 1. He said he was struggling a little bit in qualifying with the car, just getting it set up for this track. It is a very difficult track to set up a car for. It's very unique.
As I said, it's got a little bit of something for everyone. There's the sector 1 is extremely tight, loads of downforce needed. As you can see, Immortalis coming through it now, and then as soon as you start to get out into sector 2 and 3, it all starts to open up and becomes very fast, high-speed corners where you probably want a lot less downforce. So yeah, it's sort of set the car up, it seems to be for one or the other, really, as we can see, as we saw with the Lamborghinis and the Audis earlier on. The Audis were much quicker into Sector 1, able to close up right to the back of the Lamborghinis, not able to get the overtake done, and then in Sector 3 the Lamborghini's pulling away again.
It's an amazing track for a car like the Formula Renault that has a drag reduction system. Through Sector 3, just open that up and that just resolves any issue you're having through the rest of the lap.
These drivers not blessed with such technical advancements. They have set it up once and that is it. They have got to drive it as they came. Immortalis looked like he's falling off the back there of Giona, so Giona really starting to find a rhythm. Maybe Immortalis saving a little bit of tyre for the end. As I say that, it looks like TGS is getting on the back of Survivor coming through 130R, so this is starting to heat up a little bit. Don't think a move's going to be done into turn 1 just yet, still quite a gap. We'll see what happens coming into the draft. I very much doubt there's going to be moving to turn 1 here, but that gap closing right down to within a second. It looks like Flush isn't too far off the back of these guys either, so when they start getting into it, Flush will probably be able to close up. So that TGS goes around, honestly, man, I'm going to stop talking. I'm ruining everyone's race here. So Flush is going to pick up, Flush is going to pick up 9th place. He's going to have TGS for company for the time being. That lets Survivor live another day, hanging on to his 8th place. He's got CDN in front of him, looking to come around and get laps. So blue flags will come into effect for them. Still 28 minutes to go, so not quite halfway, but we're fast approaching. Just jump up to the front here. These guys not getting nearly as much screen time as they deserve. So Blankfile has been able to get on pole in qualifying and has stayed on pole. I believe he's currently set the fastest lap as well with a one. Let me just bring up the timings here for you. There it is. So Blankfile with 1:43.7, sorry. So he's going to get the clean sweep of points if it stays as it is. Really, perfect game plan. Get in front and stay in front. Pulled out about a 3-second gap onto Bruce Law, who is sort of staying within touching distance, but we've seen this before from Bruce. Staying within touching distance, not burning out his car, not burning up too much tyre or rubber. And maybe in the latter stage he starts to close it down or do what needs to be done. I think this is the first time we've seen Bruce in second, now I think about it, in the GT3, so it's probably feeling a little bit unfamiliar for him. In 3rd place currently is still Wadge. He's sitting about 10 seconds back from the top 2, so he's got a long way to go. He's probably reserved too much tyre, too much rubber, and if he's not careful, Jack is only lurking about 6 seconds back, so he's not completely safe, as it were. He can't really afford to make too many big mistakes, although probably doesn't have to push quite as hard as some of the other guys on track. Jack's still hanging on to that 4th place. He's got, as I said, about 6 seconds to Wadge in front of him, and nearly 4 seconds to Chris behind him, so he's not entirely safe either, although he can take his pick of the racing line. He's probably going to be hanging on to that 4th spot till the end. Chris absolutely flying in that Lamborghini, but again, he's still got a bit of work to do. About a 5-second gap either way for him, so work to do. And then we're joined back by Giona and Immortalis back here. It looks like TGS is starting to get on the back of Flush. Nothing done there. Toten going on a bit of a venture into turn 1. Not quite sure what's happening there. Looks like it was a blue flag for Bruce, so did well to get out of the way, but he's got Tibby in front of him. These guys are about to go racing, doing the honourable thing of letting Bruce go through first before they start getting into their dancing partnership. That AMG probably unable to get anything done through Sector 1. That Audi R8 will be a little bit lighter on its toes, but as we come into the Sector 2 and 3, we should see that gap start to close up. Maybe, if it's going to be anywhere, it'll be a move into turn 1 or up on the run up to 130R, depending on how good of an exit Toten can get on the exit of Spoon. It was currently the closest battle on the track, so we will stick with it for the time being. Looks like he gets a horrid exit coming up to 200R. That's going to give Tibby loads of room for this final sector. All that hard work undone for him. So maybe the call up from reserves just shaking him a little bit. His debut, got those rookie nerves.
Yeah, Totenkopf also showing a great pace in another series, the GT1. He was racing in a reserve spot in Zolder in the rain, very quick, and it might just be a similar situation as Giona, just getting the call up late to fill in a reserve spot and not having much time in the GT3s on this track.
The reserve seat is arguably harder than a full-time driver seat. As you said, you get sometimes no time to prepare, just dropped into the car and away you go. So he shouldn't beat himself up too hard about it. This grid is lightning quick and super competitive, and to take home 12th is no easy feat. So good effort from him, and I reckon he's going to make a few places back yet. Still a long way. We're just over halfway, or just coming up to halfway, sorry. So he's still got a bit of time to get something done. Maybe just settle his nerves, find a rhythm, and get it done. Whilst we are keeping one eye on this action, though, and we've got a little bit of time to talk, let me run you through what we've got coming up for the rest of the week in Flux Motorsport. So, directly after this race, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we have got the Stock Car Championship, where Muttley and Wanshu will be your hosts for the evening. They are going to the Texas Oval, and that will be a great race. Be sure to go check that out. On Tuesday, we have Murphy with the touring cars, and we're going to be heading to Silverstone National. That could be a complete mix-up race as we start to see some of the BMWs get into the mix. Maybe not a total McGann series like it has been, as we can see Toten looking to make some moves into 130R on Tibby. Sides better always fall back in line for the time being. Good call. Don't want to be going too wide through 130R here. As I said, the curbs can be extremely nasty. As Toten flirting with him a little bit. Looks like the gap into the last curve has extended a lot, so he's lost a lot of time through there. Probably too far back to get anything done into turn 1. So again, we'll go back and keep another little eye on it. But as I was saying, so Murphy with the touring cars on Tuesday at 8 o'clock UK time. Be sure to go show him some love. On Thursday, you can join Lecky with the GT1s at 8 o'clock UK time. They are going to be heading to Brands Hatch GP. They have had a wet race last week in Zolder, or this week in Zolder. So we see Tote getting off into the dirt there. That's really going to hurt his time. That is not the way. Definitely a different camera view there. So Lecky will take the GT1s off to Brands Hatch. They'll probably be hoping for a dry race after their rainy one in Belgium this week. On Saturday, you can join Giacomo at 8 o'clock UK as they head to Sugo, Japan in the LMP2s. I'm sure you'll be racing for that one as well, Toast.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. It's a lot different than this track is. A lot of high curves and a lot tighter corners, so that'll be interesting.
And on Saturday we have our first of the double headers over the weekend. So LMP2s at 8 o'clock UK time going on first, and then at 8 o'clock Eastern time we have the IndyCar Championship, and they are going to be heading to their second oval of the calendar at Indianapolis, which is sort of really a bit of one of those ones you don't want to miss, really. IndyCars at Indianapolis Oval is definitely something to bear witness. Those guys are super brave. We thought going through 130R flat was scary. You should go check them out. And next week, Sunday, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. You can join myself and Toasty, and we are going to be heading to Fuji Speedway. Brilliant track. Another one that's definitely going to mix things up a little bit. I reckon we might see Blankfowl's Bentley be a little bit happier. They're quite high up in the mountains, and they're getting that big turbo. Bruce's Janetta might struggle a little bit with power, but we have to wait and see. Also in Flux this week, if you want to get involved, get your name called out and go racing, go to www.fluxmotorsport.com and hit that driver sign-up button. We have got championship races running all through the week, as I just mentioned. We've got community races running as well, where if you just want to race clean and chill out, those are the places to go and do it. As top of that, we've got our Flux Motorsport shop is now open, where you can get yourself t-shirts, hoodies, phone cases, stickers, more of that good stuff coming soon as well. Help show us some show some support and help us grow and get better. And as well, delivering to the community, we have affiliate links going out through AceLift for custom G29 wheel mods and thrustmasters. And as well, recently, just today, we managed to add Fanatec as well, so some offers going on through there. So be sure to go www.fluxmotorsport.com, hit that driver sign up button, come get involved in all the action, and get yourself some goodies whilst you're doing it. What more could you want? So, eyes focused back on the race, 18 minutes left to go, so just past the halfway point. Looks like Blankfire has made a bit of a mistake. Bruce is starting to close that gap up now, only 1.5 seconds between the two. Both of them racing with the Curb Clippers group. Good friends of ours, glad to have them here. So these guys know each other extremely well. They'll be pushing each other hard. Blankfile robbing Bruce of the championship last season in his debut. Bruce will be looking to get that what's the word I'm looking for? Resolved this season round. He's due a title, and I think this is the season he wants to get it done. So these guys, if Bruce can get close enough, they're going to go racing hard, I expect. Definitely keep an eye on that as the ticker starts to run down. Just looking back, it looked like Flush was getting on the back of TGS, but it looks like he's facing the wrong way out at 130. I was seeing parked up just there. So not a good result from him. Toten is getting on the back of Tibby again. So he's closed the gap after he had a little misadventure. Looks like this time he's in a much better place to get it done as he goes around the outside, coming onto 200. Tibby should probably get the better exit, but he hasn't. There's AMG horses unleashing as they come up into Spoon. Tibby has to be super careful on the brakes here and just drive for the exit. Make sure to get in the draft and get the best run he can down into 130R and up to turn 1. Really, otherwise that AMG is going to leave him behind. Flush has got dipped into the pits. Obviously a bit of damage for him. He needs to get repaired. Just stick with these a little bit longer. It looks like Green Gaming and CDN are starting to get into it for 14th place at the back, but you see them AMG horses galloping away in this fast section. The Audi R8 though just about able to hang with it. See if we can get a nice clean run here. Could be something on for turn 1, maybe a little bit too far back. We wait and see.
That was an incredible overtake by Totenkopf there. Back into the
extremely brave on the outside.
Yeah, back into the top 10 again.
It's the way to do it. We should see here that Audi R8 will start to close that gap already on the exit at turn 1. So through this snaking section up through Dunlop, we should see that Audi R8 close that gap up. Not sure we'll be able to get anything done though, although he will need to do something to try and hold that AMG up through sector 3. As we saw, it's got the power to just drive away. And just as we stick with these guys a little longer into Degners, it looks like Jack and Wadge were starting to have a little look at each other. Wadge dropping back, as I said, he wasn't completely out of danger. Nothing doing here, so let's jump over them, see how they're getting on. Jack, as you can see, that's the gap. Wadge in that BMW, Jack in this little blue and red Ferrari here. That was about a 6-second gap earlier, I believe, so maybe a little incident from Wadge, a little wobble. As I said, he wasn't completely in the clear, but was able to have a little bit of breathing room, and now that's been taken away from him. The next closest person is Chris, who's 5 seconds back off of Jack, so still a bit of a way to go. Jack will have almost a clean run up to Wadge if he can get it done. That Ferrari should have the legs coming up in the straights, depending on how he's got it set up, although looks like I'm going to have to eat my words there. Wadge absolutely flying in a straight line.
I was just looking at the timing board, and it looks like we only have 3 drivers that don't have time penalties at the moment. This track is notorious for its track limits. especially the exit curb of Degna 2, and they're gonna have to be careful accumulating too many, because if they exceed the allowable time limit, they're gonna get a larger time penalty added to their finishing time, and that's gonna send them down the grid.
It could all be to play for then. In time penalties, we'll have to wait and see to the end how big they are. Jack getting right on the back of Wadge now, just coming up through the first sector. Again, this is something similar we've seen all race. Some of the guys able to close right up through sector 1 but unable to hang on through sector 3, so stick with this a little longer. It looks like that is Tibby and Toten maybe having a little battle up just up front, so both fights on track happening behind each other. Jack has closed that gap right up, but as we should be able to see Wadge start to pull away again now. As Jack is just close enough in the draft. Looking to drive for something into Spoon, try and disrupt the exit into there. Very brave onto brakes. Takes the inside away. Brilliant move from Jack if he can make this work, forcing Wadge to the outside. Wadge should get the better drive into 130R. That Ferrari should have some of the legs. Jack getting that move done for now. Great effort from him. Great driving from both of them to give each other the room to race. That is what racing is about. It looks like Jack is going to hold on to that through 130R and through the last corner here. So it'd be into turn 1 if Wadge is going to retaliate. It looks like he's got no answer for it though. That Ferrari flying away at the track. So Jack looks like he's on for a podium if he can keep it going for the final 13 minutes of this track. Whilst that's going on, let's just jump back into Tibby here, putting pressure onto Toten. Seen this battle going back and forth for a little while. Looks like nothing doing just yet. Wadge still falling backwards now from Jack, so doesn't look like he's taken any damage. So it could just be that his tyres have dropped off and unable to hang on for too much longer. See the cameraman just change it around as he wishes now. So this is it then, the battle for 10th between Tibby and Toten. To be getting that great move, Toten, sorry, getting that great move done into 200R on the outside. Tibby unable to retaliate just yet, but that gap is being chipped away at. Definitely staying within the draft, keeping his cool. Tibby currently sitting in 3rd place in the standings, so sorry, 4th in the standings. So definitely a capable driver. Not one to be ruled out yet. 12 minutes left to go, so still plenty of time to get anything done and secure that 10th spot. It's getting a little wide on the exit, unable to get anything done just yet. That AMG power still keeping Toten safe for now. Whilst we are here, let's just see where Blankfile is on track. It's a little bit further up. We'll get ready to do our onboard hot lap. Just keep an eye on Blankfile, see if we can catch him for a full lap and see how the track should be driven. You can get an idea of what the drivers are seeing and what they're feeling viewing from home. And for the minute, we'll stay with this battle here for 10th place. Tibby still piling on mountains of pressure onto Toten, the reserve coming up for tonight. A great showing from him. We've seen him have a few little mistakes getting those first appearance nerves out of the way in the GT3 series. Has been running well. I believe you said it was the LMP2s as well, right?
Yeah, and like you said, lap 1, having your car flipped over and heading into the pits for bad suspension damage. It's amazing that he's in the top 10 right now.
It's definitely not the best way to start your race. I do find the cars go quicker when all 4 wheels are on the floor. Or sometimes that's not even true, at least facing the right way. So Tibby, looks like he just dropped back a little bit there, maybe pushing too hard. The tyres starting to give up on him a little bit. Going to give it a bit of time for everything to cool down, reset, and have another go at it. It's like Jack has pulled a decent gap away from Wadge for the time being, so Wadge with no answer to Jack's overtake. Great move from Jack on the inside of Spoon. looks like he's potentially falling back into Chris in 5th place. So Wadge starting to go backwards a little bit. Not quite sure what's happened to him. Not sure whether he's going backwards or everyone else is just going quicker. We'll keep an eye on the timing boards and see how they go. I've managed to miss Blank File again, so we're going to have to wait for him to go around one more time. As we stay with this action here, Timmy still unable to get anything done. Definitely having a sniff into turn 1 there, giving Toten just a little bit of a look. He'll be doing everything he can, trying to get Toten to just come off of his line a little bit, maybe defend when he didn't quite have to. That's how you start to get these gaps to open. You can see Timmy is sort of trying to pull him into the inside, to the outside, trying to make a little Audi R8 shaped hole somewhere on this track for him to push his way through. It's unlikely he's going to get anything done through both Degners. You see him push to the inside there, look. Both drivers keeping good momentum there. Toten just taking a little bit more of the curve, which maybe where he's carrying a little bit of momentum through the second Degner, which probably sets him up for a nice run into 200R. Well, I say that Tibby is much closer this time round. Are we going to see another move into Spoon under braking? Maybe a little too far back, but the camera lies late on the brakes from Tibby. Still unable to get anything done though. It looks like Toten's gone offline on the exit of Spoon. It's going to be a drag race down to 130R. To be honest, I'll be betting on the AMG. Yeah, gets back in front for the time being. Tibby forced to hang on for, it's probably going to be another lap. Unless he probably fancies his chances into turn 1. With only a sort of small gap separating the two, I just want to take the draft all the way to the end, flat out through the last curve. Still a drag race up to turn 1. AMG unable to pull away as much as you probably would have liked, so the move is probably on into turn 1. Yeah, Tibby's going to have a go for it. Has a look, backs out. Is he going to do anything under braking? No, he's not, so he's going to stay put for the time being. Very conservative mindset there from Tibby. Obviously biding his time, not trying to do anything too stupid just yet. Realises there's still 7 minutes to go, there's still time. It's unlikely they're going to get up the road and get hold of TGS, so probably doing the smart thing for the time being is we just jump on with Blank File, check in where he is. Still a little way to go just yet, just coming out on the exit of Spoon. Cameraman takes a bit of a day off there, so these guys still staying friendly. This is still the closest battle on track. No one else really getting into touching distance or even looking to get into touching distance just yet. Everyone's still sort of staying in line. The only person to keep an eye on for the minute would be Wadge, currently sitting in 4th. 5 seconds up the road we'll find Jack, and only about 5 seconds backwards he's going to find Chris. So he's ended up sort of secured himself back into 4th place where he was, although he'd be wanting to get up there and challenge Jack for that podium spot that he was hanging on to. Timmy's still unable to get anything done here. So this is as close as I'm going to get, ladies and gentlemen. So out of turn 1, I think we see Blank File coming into this snake section here, flat through the first one. Little dab of the brakes here, starts to take tight to the inside. Not looking to drift too wide on the exit of this corner either, to try and get the best run up through Dunlop. So you have to get off the throttle there just a little bit as he comes up to Degner 1. This should be a little dab of the brakes, turn the car in and drive flat through just beyond the 100 one. There it is, clips the inside, try not to take too much exit curb. Same for Degner 2, careful on the exit, this is where you pick up those time second penalties. Coming through here up to what would be 200R, this should just be flat out, no dramas really, just a little bit bumpy on the exit there as they come up to the run to Spoon, a very tricky corner. Careful on the entry to get the better exit, braking just at the 50 board there, tips it in, just clips the white line, run as wide as you like, trying to keep the car nice and tight as this sort of flattens off as you exit, trying not to get too much curb and drive flat straight out. Blank File trying to pick up a little bit of a draft there, every little helps. Coming up to the famous 130R, we'll probably see a little lift just to keep the car settled, if not flat out. There it is, there's the lift, clips the inside, trying not to take any of the curb at all really on the exit from last curve. This should be flat out as well, just clipping the inside, careful of those bumps. They will rip the car away. And that is the start-finish line. Just because we missed it, I'll show you into turn 1 as well. Should be braking just past the 50 board. See, bending just before there, maybe saving a little bit of brake. Try not to push too hard and rolling straight through. I don't think I've seen that taken better yet. So that is 1 lap of Sakitto by Blank File. Currently our pole sitter in the Bentley. Got pole in qualifying, been in the front. It's from the green lights really. Only got challenged by Snarling Bongo in the opening few laps. Snarling suffering a very bad incident through 130R and unable to continue, unfortunately. And Blackfile also taking home, I believe, still has the fastest lap, but we're going to wait until the end and see how that's playing out for him. So it could be a clean sweep of the points for Blank. Jumping back here, looks like Giona's starting to get the back of Survivor. Survivor's hanging on to 7th place. A good drive from him, coming from, I believe he qualified back in 15th, so a brilliant effort from him. Moving his way up the grid well into the top 10. Looks like he's been able to keep his nose clean, stay out of trouble, and just log the laps, really sort of picking up on the mistakes that everyone else has made and taking what's been given to him. It's like 3 minutes left to go, and it looks like there's going to be no move from Giona just yet. Still a little too far back as a jump on with Immortalis, who's starting to get on the back of Chris for 5th. Immortalis, as we saw him suffering a first lap incident with Toten, and Toten's can't get him flipped to all sort of which way as the driver, the cameraman decides we're looking at a different set of cars. Here we go back with Immortalis. So a brilliant recovery drive from him. If he can pick up that 5th place, Chris will not be giving it up easy though. Seems in the last 3 minutes everyone's decided to go racing. Now or never. Bruce in 2nd place, 3-4 seconds back from Blank File, so probably unlikely he's going to be able to get anything done there. It's probably been in 2nd place for him. Jack still hanging on to that 3rd position, so potential podium for Jack. He'd be more than happy with that. These guys here about trying to settle it for 5th, and we've got Giona and Survivor fighting for 7th as well. We'll try and keep an eye on all of this. It looks like Flush and Dr. Popford down in 12th are also starting to have a little dance, so it's all starting to kick off in the final stages. Maybe the 2 or 3 laps to go, depending on where Blank File is on track, so not long left. If you're going to be getting the moves done, it's going to be now. Immortalis still sitting a little too far back to get anything done on Chris just yet. Paul on the stream saying don't count Bruce out, it does look close. You can never count any of these guys out, I'm afraid, mate. But with the form that Blank File has had tonight, it's definitely a tall order. Immortalis looks like he's getting the move done on the outside. Maybe a little slowdown there from Chris. It almost looked like he let him past.
Yeah, anyone who's raced against Chris knows that he's a difficult driver to get around, so that was definitely a slowdown penalty there. He was trying to get around.
I was going to say, that looks suspiciously easy. It looks like Giona hasn't been able to get round Survivor either, so Survivor is surviving in 7th. He'll be over the moon with that result. Great showing from him. As I said, starting to get that Z4 to work for him, maybe, or maybe the Z4 just suited to this track. Either which way, I don't think he's going to mind. 7th place is still 7th place. Just jump back on board with Chris, unable to hang with Immortalis for the time being. Let's just find out where Blank is coming into. Looks like Dunlop up to the Degner, so this is going to be the final lap from Blank File. So these guys are going to get one more lap to go to settle down. It looks like Chris is losing more time to Immortalis. Giona unable to get on the back of. As I say that, it looks like Survivor has gone round. He's dropped back to 9th. Commentator's curse strikes again. I think that's nearly 3 times the charm. I'm sorry to all the drivers I've affected by trying to bring everyone else at home this action. Paid the price. Still a top 10, not to be sniffed at. Good drive from him. TGS being gifted a little place there. He's had a bit of a tough night, but we saw him have a couple of spins. So he'll be happy with that one. However, here he is, the man himself, Blankfile, potentially taking a clean sweep of points. We're going to wait and see if he's got a fastest lap. Started on pole, finishes at the front. The best race strategy there is good drive from him in the black and yellow Bentley. Nice, calm, collective as always. Bruce Law comes home in second, 4 seconds back. Good showing from him in the Ginetta. I think he'll be happy with that one. Sakitto probably not best suited to that Ginetta, so good drive from him. Co-Clippers guys taking the 1-2. They'll be happy with that in the chat. Jack still hanging on to third. Was that a back marker? That is a back marker behind him, so he should have this in the bag behind him, provided he has no major incidents. Judging by tonight's record, I probably shouldn't have said anything. As he comes around the last corner now, brilliant drive from him. Gets his, I believe that's going to be his first GT3 podium as well, so he'll be well happy with that. Good drive with him. Able to pick off Wadge in the final stages of the race there. Good drive from Jack. Love to see it. Wadge coming around the final corner now as well. Unfortunately missed out on the podium. We're not sure if he made a little mistake or just run out of time. But he's going to take home 4 for good heap of points for him. Immortalis sitting back in 5th. Good recovery drive. We saw him have that incident on turn 1. Not turn 1, on lap 1, sorry. So he's able to claw himself back to 5th and get his championship back on track. He'll be able to pick up a good few places by that, I suspect. So, not to be sniffed at. Also, I forgot to mention that a lot of these drivers have time penalties, so this could still change around as of yet. We'll see when the final standings come. But provisionally currently sitting in 5th, TGS coming around in 6th. As I said, we saw him have a few incidents. He picks up 7th place. Survivor gets himself back to 7th in the final stages, so he'll be happy with that one. Timer ticks down. So here we go. This is the final standings, and it looked like if Bruce didn't have a 1 second penalty, he would have picked up the win there. He will be unhappy with that. So Blankfile comes home in first with the fastest lap as well. So all the points for Blankfile. Good showing from him. Couldn't have asked for better. Bruce comes home in second in the Ginetta. Good showing from him as well. Jack picks up that 3rd place after picking off Wadge in the final stages. A great effort from him. Wadge comes home in 4th. Good boatload of points still, but he'll be looking to get that righted again. I think he'll be unhappy with that one. Immortalis, good recovery drive from him, coming back from the back of the grid up to 5th. No easy feat. TGS managed to hang on to 6th after he had a few little spins this race. Survivor, I think Survivor has actually had the best drive today, I believe. Bit of an unsung hero. Coming back from what I believe was 15th in qualifying, working his way up to 7th. Able to keep his nose clean, stay out of trouble and pick up a good load of points. Chris comes home in 8th. Good effort from him. We saw him battling it out a long way through that race, actually. Great racing from him. Just missing out to Immortalis in the final stages. Giona, the reserve, finishes in the top 10. He comes home in 9th, as well as Toten taking home the 10th. So both reserve drivers getting the top 10. They need to be very well happy with that. Tibby hangs on to 11th place, as joined with Flush, both teammates back there. They'll be Tibby will probably be looking to rewrite that next race. Normally showed great pace. Flush, we saw, have that massive incident on the exit of 130R, so that'll be why he's back there. He'll be not happy with that result. Dr. Potford back in 13th place. Unusual to see him that far back in the grid. Normally Mr. Consistent is definitely running up in the top 10, so maybe this track just not favouring him today. CDN back in 14th. We saw him have a bit of a spin. I believe it's into turn 1 as well, so the track not being so kind. Green Gaming sitting in 15th, which I believe is where he qualified, so he makes up 1 place. And unable to get the Z4 working as well as his teammate Survivor, so they'll be exchanging notes this week, I think, getting ready for Fuji. And Snarling Bongo was the last driver who had that incident on the exit of 130R and unable to continue the car. So that concludes this week's worth of racing. Be sure to check out the streams. Muttley and One Tune bring the Stock Car Championship at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. That's coming up. If you want to get involved, please go to www.fluxmotorsport.com. Hit that driver sign-up button. As I said, we've got community races, we've got championship races, and we have got affiliate links with Fanatec and Acelift going on at the minute. So some great offers, good chance to pick you up some bargains. I've lost my train of thought there as well, talking about all of that. So, also, show some love to the YouTube channel. Please hit the subscribe button and that little bell so you get notifications. It helps us grow bigger and better, so we can bring you better streams, more events. More Flux can never be a bad thing. I've been your host, The Console. I've been joined with Toasty in the Box. Thank you for coming tonight, mate.
Yeah, you're
always
welcome.
A pleasure to have you.
Yeah, already excited for next week. Shaking up the standings. We'll see. Fuji.
Absolutely. Be sure to check out the social media as this week's standings get posted. I reckon it's going to be quite a big mix-up. I think it's still all to play for as we approach the halfway mark. But thank you for watching at home. And we will see you all next week. Thank you and good night.